Mate, you right, mate?
I hadn't seen that for a while.
It's like being at a premiere 8 years after it's meant to happen. It's like, wow, how funny.
So, how's it feel seeing it after a little while, huh?
It's
really charming. Yeah, I thought it was, despite my involvement. It was really...
Because of your involvement. Yeah, I gotta say, like, I love this film. I don't love too many things that I'm in, but I just feel like this film doesn't, I haven't seen it for years, actually, but I've never not enjoyed this film. I just feel like the film that I read when I first read it is the film that they ended up making, and that doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, it was one of those. It was one of those things, Christian, where I remember thinking it was going to be something else, and when they told me that Julie was producing it, who has made some of Australia's finest art and independent cinema, I was like, really? This? And then when they told me that Damon was playing the lead, I was like, oh my God, that's incredible. He's doing this. And then when Ollie was in, I was like, how are you getting all these, esteemed creatives on this job? No,
we were thinking that about you.
No, but that's what I was thinking. I was thinking about that about them. I was like, wait, isn't this just some shit show thing that we're going to do, on the weekends in between other gigs? And it was. I really do think that, personally, having Damon there for me, really elevated it to something more than I anticipated, and I spent the whole time trying to keep up with him.
No, come on. We had such a ball working together. We knew each other a little bit beforehand, but not very well, and we just sort of fell in love as we played brothers who weren't very in love at all. Yeah.
Julie, I'm sure you saw the script before everyone else. So from script to screen, what was the experience?
Yeah, I was at speaking at a lab in Sydney in 2008. I had to look all this up earlier because I've forgotten. And I met the Cairns brothers there, and I had read the script, and I just loved it. It wasn't the film. There were a few more drafts, but the essence was there. And I had worked with a guy who'd made Bad Boy Bubby, Rolf de Heer. Yeah, I didn't work on Bubby, but Bubby was the reason I moved to Adelaide to work with Rolf. And I always wanted to make a really good black comedy. And when I read the Cairns Brothers script, I was just like, this is it. But they had a producer attached, and so I couldn't do anything because you can't go and steal projects. So I just let it go. And I think 2 years later, I contacted them and said, where the bloody hell is 100 Bloody Acres? And by then, something happened to the producer, and the rights were available. So I got it financed pretty quick. It was pretty low budget. It was like about 1.5. So, and it was financed within a year, and then we shot January 2012. Yeah.
God bless the Australian film. You have Screen Australia. You have Victoria Fun, Melbourne Film Festival has a fun,
and the South Australian Film Festival.
Oh man!
So it was all soft money, really.
But it's giving creatives such as yourself such great opportunities to thrive in film. Oliver. Did you find love after this movie? Just please tell me, for the love of God.
No, still angry and
There's still a chance. Audience, tell me if I'm wrong, but don't these guys make two great brothers? And not only that, don't you want to see the Morgan brothers thrive? Don't you want to see them come back for more?
I keep pitching to Julie and to Colin and Cameron that we should do a sequel.
Yes!
Obviously it has to be called 1,000 Bloody Acres, because what else are you going to call it? And it's not impossible that may happen, right?
We are actually going to do a sequel. So in a few weeks we're definitely going to do it. We're going to do it.
Okay, great.
We're going to write the script. Well, I'm not going to write the script.
And Angus is still going to be in it. We're not going to tell you how, but he's still going to be in it.
We've worked out how to bring Angus back, but not as Lindsay.
There was a scene at the end where James.
Oh yeah, that was that.
I think after the credits, There's a
There's a
scene.
scene
I
after
get
the
hit by a
credits.
truck at the end, but we didn't get.
Yeah,
to see that.
yeah. What? You want to explain, Ollie? What happens? Yeah.
Oh, no, I just get hit by.
Well,
a truck.
Charlie Wick, who's been trying to buy this fertilizer for the whole film. That guy, you see him in his truck. He's on the phone. Is he on the phone to you or something? Or he's not on the phone to you because you're dead. But yeah, and then James runs out to go kind of save me, and he just gets completely smashed by this truck and dies.
You might not die. You might
Well,
not
we
die.
don't know. We
Depends
don't
on
know
the sequel.
actually. We don't know that you die. Sequel.
But yeah, it was. I have to say, it was really. I saw it at the Melbourne Film Festival. What year was that? 2000.
So that was we actually
13.
shot in January, and can you believe it was
Oh, that's
that
right.
August
year?
the same year.
It was
It
August
was.
the same year,
That's incredible.
which is mental. I don't know why I made them shoot and post in the same year because that's too quick.
But those the brothers are Cameron and Colin. Wonderful, wonderful humans. Two bodies, one brain, and Cole's been quite sick. Actually, just had a heart transplant.
Yeah.
Which so I want to give him a shout out here and send some love across the ocean.
And you did an amazing film. I'm assuming they can see that short somewhere online, right? What's that film called that's brilliant with you and Jason
with
Gann?
The restaurant,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Celestial Avenue.
Celestial Avenue. Watch your short film called Celestial Avenue. Same writer, director, brothers, and Angus, and an Aussie actor called Jason Gann, who you might know from Wilfred, the guy in the dog suit.
Yeah.
And it's it's wacky, weird. It was one of those things where you see that short and go, I want to work with those guys.
I think I play like a
You play a
400
Chinese man,
yeah,
actually.
400-year-old Cantonese dishwasher.
I don't
You
think
can do that anymore, Angus.
No, you
Not a
can't do that.
stretch.
In fact, there's a few lines in this film.
Oh, I
you
know.
couldn't say anymore.
I know, this film is very problematic now.
Were
It's
the
cancelled. It's officially cancelled, this film.
Did the brothers, were there dynamic in the brothers on the screen or in the story at all?
We asked them that. We asked, who was who. Colin's a little older than Cameron. And I guess on set, Cole probably took a bit more of the sort of, telling us how to improve ourselves performance-wise. And Cameron was sort of by the video village and in between shots, he was a little less forward in his direction. But, I have to say, like they're so in love with one another, those two boys, that I guess for Damon and I, it was only natural for us, I guess, to imbue it with that same, I guess, tough love maybe or something. There's some type of love. I forgot that Lindsay kisses Reg.
My head you kissed my head several times as you're torturing me. That was not in the script. But half of what Angus does was not in the script, but he's a genius.
Damon,
Very inventive.
out of your filmography of killers, which one do you think is the sweetest?
Oh, definitely this guy.
I think so, too.
I mean, there's not even a competition. Definitely. Yeah, I really like Reg. I mean, he's just trying to do the right thing. He's a bit dim, he doesn't really know. He sort of knows right from wrong, but he's also under the influence of his brother, and he comes good in the end.
Yeah, in more ways than one. Do we have any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Do we have any questions? Yes.
Is Ms. Rebecca Gibney aware of her?
She is. And
She is.
In fact, I think you got permission, didn't you?
Yeah, we had to get permission. So
What did you say when you asked her, and what was
Oh,
her response?
it kind of went through agents and
For the Americans, by the
casting.
way, I should that's the girl on the magazines that Reg is in pleasuring himself to. She's a very famous Australian actress.
So we gave her the script to read. So full disclosure, and she said yes. And I think the boys sent her some flowers. Have you seen her, Damon?
Yeah, I've seen her. I've run into her since, and she thinks that she was kind of weirdly flattered by the fact that she was the chosen pin-up for Reg. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Question in the back.
In regards to the writing and what wound up on screen, I love the way the movie started, and it was just like a few seconds of driving finds a dead body. Was that in the original script? Was it really that immediate like that?
I think that was. I know that. I think the last act was completely different. I think at one point Reg died. Like this is like in 2008.
I remember hearing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever read that version.
No one did.
Yeah.
So I think it took them a while to get the script. But basically, once the script was right, we didn't really edit it much. It was just what we shot was in the film.
I saw a question right over there. John?
Yes. So I admitted to Camilla tonight that I actually had not seen the film, but from the first moment of the film, from the first frame, I realized that actually I had seen it, and I was under the influence of the two W's, whiskey and women, when I saw it first on home video. And
More of a statement than a question, don't you think? But
here's my question, prefacing so here we go. I enjoyed it so much more than the audience. It was astounding with an audience, and I enjoyed it before. And I'm curious, have you guys had the same reaction where people see it with an audience and people go, wow. Yeah. And where tonight I was like, yeah, I hadn't seen it. Oh, yeah, I enjoyed it. That's right, I enjoyed this despite all the interference I had. But the audience to me is key. Have you guys found that in this?
Yeah, definitely.
I just made a comedy, and it plays so much better with an audience. So we actually had some really bad bad reviews because the dude's probably just watching it on a laptop.
For which? This or you?
No, the other one.
All right.
So yeah, it really does make a difference. The thing about this film though, like when we were leading up to the US release, the reviews were really, like out of 30, 27 were positive. They were so good, and they were the best reviewers here. So we were going, oh my God, it's going to be amazing. Like June 4th is coming out, blah, 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 or whenever. And then we were like, nothing, the box office is terrible. And it's because it was just pirated like mad. It got onto Pirate Bay the same day it was released. And
it was the 99th most pirated film in 2013.
Year.
In the world.
So we made no money.
Should have been a pull
whatsoever.
quote for the movie, I think.
Yeah. So this is before Netflix or anything. So, so people really didn't get a chance to see it on the big screen, which is my point, really.
Yeah, I think it's true of most films, watching it with a community.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to say tonight, there's so much I didn't remember, not for any other reason, that I'm aging, but but I must say it's so enjoyable to spend time with, particularly for me, for Damon, to have so much on-screen time. As someone who's admired Ollie and Damon's work, I always want more of them, and so particularly working, I guess, a lot more internationally and what have you, I'm always like desperate for more. So tonight it was really, I thought they should do this more often. Maybe people do. Maybe it's probably why I've seen Jaws 50 times, but it's really, I guess, how often do you revisit things, and so. On behalf of us, thank you for facilitating this. And
a great audience, too,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, especially because it's not like a huge audience, but you sounded like you're like 300 people in here.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Yeah. It's really humbling.
Well, this is the beginning of our new Australian horror series.
That's so exciting. What else are you allowed to say?
I think we'd like some recommendations from all of you, actually,
well,
on some films. Because
yes, my friend Steph's in an Australian horror film. We've already spoken to Camilla. Called Observance. I haven't seen it, but I know that it got great reviews.
We would like to do like a vote by sort of.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's too many good films out there. Awesome Film is not doing it. We're going to do it. We're going to bring these films back, do some special events around them.
You might like Houseboat Horror.
Oh, I love Houseboat.
I think that was voted the worst film of all time.
Really?
In Australia. But
sign us up.
Yeah, Houseboat Horror. Check out Houseboat Horror. Turkey Shoot. A lot of genre picks. You could. Of course. What about the Cars That Ate Paris? I mean, it doesn't have to be horror.
No, it doesn't. Okay. No.
I'm just rolling out genre picks now. Yeah. No, I thought these guys were such good sports. How about Ollie, who's upside down for half of the film, and even went into that. And
your backup dancer, mate.
No, but it was like in between takes, you just look over his eyes. We got more and more bloodshot. All these veins and what have you got distended. It was quite.
It was like having had to hang on those things for like 2 minutes at the end. I don't know how Ollie did it because it's agony. It's actually agony. Your whole body is hanging from your ankles. Genuinely, like they put something a bit softer around your ankles than chains, but it's still the whole weight of your body is hanging from your ankles, and it's agony. And you were up there for days.
Yeah. Well, I think initially I was supposed to be there longer, and they saw some of the rushes, and they realised that my acting was terrible, so they took me down earlier. It's true. True story.
But yeah, only sympathy for your character after seeing that movie. Only sympathy.
But yeah, I have to wonder what our family will think of that. You know, my children, they asked me where I was going tonight. I said, I'm going to see 100 Bloody Acres. And my youngest one said, oh, what's that about? And I was like, it's like it's brotherly love. But I don't think it's aged too much outside of some of the colloquialisms, but I guess that was always their sort of point, wasn't it? Particularly with that title sequence. But yeah, I'm with Damon and Ollie and Julie. Like it's, I'm really surprised at what a place it has in our hearts, and that's full credit to Julie and the brothers and the cast and the crew.
You know how there's some films that just are kind of turning points in your career. Is this one of those for all of you that just is very dear to you? Might as well start with you and then we'll go down. Julie?
It was the first, because I'd worked with one director for 10 years, so then we went our separate ways and I set up my own company. So this was really the first film that I made that I felt was, one that I produced properly, so I love it. And it was fun too, because working with all these guys and the Cairns brothers are awesome. So it was a really great experience too.
Julie, can you just say some of the credits that you've done since this?
Hotel Mumbai. And I've actually just come from Berlin, so I had a film that opened the Generation section that just won a special mention. It's called H is for Happiness. Completely different to this film, but nevertheless.
I think just for me, it was I think it was my first comedy film. And, I got to learn from the titans to my right. It was a joy.
That's very kind of you, Ollie. I've always loved you. Off screen as well. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that made it very special. South Australian Film Corp. You mentioned before. We got there, and it was these brand new, beautiful offices in an old asylum, sandstone buildings, and it was really. Again, I keep coming back to this thing. I was like, wow, this is really professional. I guess that was the first time I felt like it was a real family affair. I guess I hadn't been directed by two brothers before, or sisters, any siblings. So, I don't know if it was a turning point, but it certainly it made the filmmaking much more accessible for me. I felt that it was like, it doesn't have to be one extreme or the other. It can be, you can aim for something a bit more. I don't like any discussions around box office, it's, having been involved in lots of films that made lots of money, they never ever mention the P&A spend that they have. And when they make a point of how much money the film's made, they don't tell you about the $35 million that they dropped, putting posters on bus stops and what have you. This film was, like the little red engine. It was like and that's the fact that it is still breathing is. Respect to the everyone involved, and especially South Australian Film Corp. They were so good to us. Yeah, really great.
Damon?
Yeah, I guess it was a turning point for me because I don't think I'd ever done a lead role in something before, or like obviously it's a co-lead, but like any lead really. Like I and certainly not in a film. Like I'd done a fair bit of TV up to that point, and maybe had done a couple of roles that were big, but I couldn't believe that I was getting to be this role in this film. It wasn't like this was just something that normally happened. And I love the script so much. I love the role so much. I just, to me, like, it was one of those rare occasions where you read it and the character it's jumping off the page at you. Like I could hear him speaking when I read it, And that was when I found out I got it. I was like, genuinely, I can't think of like. There would be nothing stop me taking that role, even if there'd been something it would have had to be in Scorsese or something. I was so excited, like if I'd got some American role, even though I was over here when I did a tape for it, but I was so excited when I got it that I didn't want to miss it for the world, and I'm so glad I didn't because it's right up there with maybe all around my favorite job I've ever done.
Let's give a round of applause, everybody, to Julie, Oliver, Angus, and Damon.